Hello, everybody. We're a little bit late because you might have forgotten that Joel is part of this podcast, but we did try and get him on this episode. I do promise he's backstage. Hopefully, he sorts his technical issues out and we can get him on. But a nice episode to start as our first genuine proper episode, really, isn't it? Reviewing a game and then looking forward to another one of this season. A lot of new signings in action.
Nathaniel? He just slandered our preview episode.
Oh yeah, our episode was great.
The preview episode was a good episode. I'm saying it's the first actual review. I'm not getting into it. I'm not.
First game review
already.
Yeah.
I'm not rising to it, Will. Right, so we got a lot of new signings. We've got the new kit. A lot of fans are in the stadium. Fans back in the north stand as well, behind the goal, making a lot of noise and being a bit naughty apparently, supporting your team, bad people. So we've got quite a bit to talk about, and then obviously we'll look ahead to Preston as well. Good memories of that place last year. Hopefully we can obviously do the same this year and have a nice 6 points on the board from the first two games. That'd be lovely. But obviously before we start this episode, we are sponsored by 6 Yards Out, which is basically your home for retro memorabilia. If you want to customize a phone case, you want a cushion for the sofa, some coasters, anything like that, you can basically choose your own Hull City kit design to put on it, and they will sort it out for you. There's a request a kit feature you can go on. So if you wanted the 1988 kit, for example, you can have that requested and put on a mug for you. Good Father's Day gift, for example. And we are also sponsored by Pearson's Bar in Hull. Very, very lively pub. There was a lot of supporters trust there, I believe, on match day. I was meant to be there, but I had a very busy day and had to be elsewhere. I think Adjan was in Tigers Lair, wasn't he? But Pearson's obviously the place to be for. He was. I think he's doing a tour de Hull, isn't he? A pub crawl each game. But Pearson's Bar, obviously on Prinny Ave, the place to be for your pre and post match beers. Go down, see Jimmy, lovely guy. Right, so Bristol City. I think we actually all attended, didn't we?
I was there. I saw you after the game, didn't I?
I always attend.
Yeah.
Unlike you two.
Yeah, we're part-timers, Will. You seem to forget that. But I thought that it was a bit of a game of two halves. Obviously, so we'll talk about the first half. We obviously went down 1-0 at half-time through an Andy Whiteman goal from the set piece, which I think was quite clumsily defended. But taking away from the first half then, Will, what was your impression of the first half?
I very much enjoyed the run. I was very happy, to be honest, with what I was seeing from the team, even though they were one down, because I liked that we seemed to be. There was a marked improvement on the way we were playing football from last season, I felt already. And I think it was partly down to, well, I say partly, it's obvious, it's down to the new signings, to be fair, of people like Seri in midfield. And Tufan in midfield, who just seemed to have more about them going forward and creating.
Yeah, we did look a bit more lively. I tweeted at half time saying that we looked a bit. I just thought, to me, that we looked a bit slow. It was a bit. We weren't probing enough. We were sort of allowing Bristol to keep their shape and playing the exact way that they wanted us to. In that, it was very back to the back three, across side to side. We weren't really asking many questions, and then Bristol would pop one ball in behind and Whiteman would be through and goal, and that seemed to be very successful for him in the first half. And it just kind of looked a little bit like we'd got a lot of signings chucked together, which realistically it was in the first proper competitive game. But like you say, the way we actually kept possession was quite encouraging, I thought, but we just didn't really offer much in terms of an attacking threat. Is that something you agree with, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I mean, we played more football against Bristol City than we had done last season. We're actually passing the ball along the ground a bit more, and we weren't necessarily relying on the wing play last season. Because, of course, when you've got the wingers, especially when Lewis Potter was at wing back, we did sort of just, focus all the play on him getting the ball forward that way, and with Fleming later on. So I said this, a similar sort of thing at half time. I thought, even though we were a bit slow, when we actually get the ball forward past the defenders to the midfield players who were more creative and played well, especially in the second half, we looked quite dangerous. But I think the second half we did actually improve a lot, and we were proven right that there was promise first half. There were a few good moves, but generally it was second half where we got a whole lot more dangerous. So yeah, I think it was a very promising first game. The first half, even if we'd lost because of the way we'd played, it was still quite promising. And of course, to go and get the result in the end was even better.
Yeah, I was happy regardless with the way we played. I was looking forward to seeing what we do.
Because it was a better performance than last year, set at the same sort of point of the season.
Because you'd think other teams probably not going to be fully gelled with all new signings until October time, maybe. And they already look like they're well on their way.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be ahead of schedule, as I would.
As you would say.
I think we'll move on to because the referee, I think overall for both teams had a pretty poor game.
Stinker.
So
wasn't great.
I mean, in the first half, it seemed to me like Bristol City knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to buy fouls, and the referee was giving them. But I'm going to draw attention to, I think we know where we're going with this, the 2 penalty shouts within like 30 seconds that we had.
You mean the assault on Greaves and then the assault on Oscar?
Yeah, both of them, I think, were stonewall penalties. I mean, the Jacob Greaves one, you can see the momentum, his shoulder into his back. That's a foul anywhere on the pitch. Anywhere else on the pitch.
The defender's nowhere near the ball, and Greaves has gone past him and he's clattered into him. I think that was the worst of the two. I thought the one on Estepinian later on was that would have been soft, but genuinely I think we probably deserved 2 penalties out of the 3 suggested.
Because I don't know about the Estepinian one, because from where I was sat, the ball that was put in by Seri, Estepinian's going to put his head on that and at the very minimum test the goalkeeper in a very dangerous way or score. So to me, there's absolutely no need for him to go to the ground there because he has a chance to score the header. So the fact that, so because he's about to head the ball, the defender has pushed him again in the back, and he's just waved them both away. I mean, I thought the second one was guaranteed to be given because he didn't give the first, but then when he didn't give the second, it was just absolute pandemonium. I think it's very frustrating because I think, like you say, anywhere else on the pitch, they are both immediate fouls. And because they're in the box, I think referees sometimes double guess themselves because obviously it can be such a...
Not sometimes, it's just all the time, really,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, all the time. And obviously then Bristol score from what I think was quite a sloppily defended set piece. You know, it goes to the far post, it's headed back in, and, you know, our players sort of moved with the momentum, and they're all towards Ingram a bit too much, and Whiteman just sort of volleys it in, and it was quite a drab first half. But coming into the second half, I think we definitely upped the tempo a bit. We looked a lot more dangerous, and Seri and Tufan. I mean, I want to ask you about Tufan, Will. So over the course of the entire game, what was your opinion on him? Because I was sat in front of about 3 or 4 people who, for every second he was on the pitch, were absolutely berating him, saying he was fat, overweight.
Was you sat near Dan Gosling?
I might have been. I don't know who I was sat in front of. If you're watching this, I do think.
Non's in the North Stand was saying that because you had a fucking great game.
But we were laughing because we couldn't understand what he was saying, because I saw a midfielder that was willing to go box to box. I saw a midfielder who was willing to track back after a corner. I saw
he did get stuck in as well.
Yeah, and he had a good chance where he hit the cross, the post. He played some nice passes in behind, especially out wide to the likes of Coyle. I just think he looks, maybe he doesn't look 100% match fit, but to me he looks perfectly fine in terms of the more he goes on, the better he's going to get. He looks very creative. He looks like he's got work ethic in him, and he looks nothing like the player that the Watford fans said would give. So, do you agree, Will, or did you see something different?
No, I agree. I think he had a great game. I thought he didn't look fully fit, but that's because none of them are fully fit really on the first day of the season. I thought that bit of play when Seri and Tufan had the bit of football that ended with him hitting the post, I think that sort of summed up how we've changed, because I don't remember us doing that sort of football at all last season with the players we had in midfield, like all the dummies and feints and the slide passes and hitting it from outside the box.
We had so many few shots from that sort of region last year. It was, crosses and, Lewis Potter coming up with something, but that was a proper good move. Even I feel like even when we got promoted under McCann, we weren't passing it through the middle. We were just scoring lots of set pieces, or the wingers cutting inside to score. Seri jumping over the ball like that, and then the technique Tufan hit it, even though he missed. That was so much better than any of the things we'd seen last season. Same with Smith earlier on, because he jumped over the ball to let Estepinian run through on goal. I thought he was being a complete idiot leaving it, but he'd obviously seen something and maybe they'd planned that out. So, those are proper exciting moves, and they clearly, they know what they're doing. That's planned. They're looking to see where the ball's going, and they're creating chances. And, as you've said, if that's the first game we've played and not all fit, then imagine how good we're going to be in 45 games' time.
Well, I think considering that we had so many obviously debutants in the side for this game, we'll talk about each and every one. So we just spoke about Tufan. Seri, you see, my only inkling was that this season with the midfielders that we had is that we are going to miss the Smallwood style defender, a proper old school number 6 who's going to allow the likes of Seri and Tufan to control the game in the way that they want to. But I think I saw a side to Seri that says we don't need that. I think Seri's got both of that in his locker. I mean, I checked on the stats just to double check, but he definitely won the majority of his tackles. He won 3 out of the 4 that he attempted. So have we got that sort of complete midfielder in Seri that we don't necessarily need to make any more additions in that sense? I'll open that to anybody.
I argue we've got 2 complete midfielders there in Seri and Slater.
Yeah, they could play anywhere, really, couldn't they? Those two. Seri created the most chances in the league on that opening game, but then he's also a more of a deep lying defender, but one that has a whole lot better distribution than Smallwood ever would have had. So, what a signing he is, and he played really well as well.
Now, so welcome, Joel.
That was Joel introducing himself there.
Joel speaking to us in technology.
Yeah, you're getting back out now.
So Joel's back and we'll be removing him swiftly if that carries on. Joel, how are you? It's nice to see you. You haven't been on in a while.
All right, you?
Yeah, well, not bad. What did you think to the Bristol City game then? We've just said our thoughts on it. What was your view on it?
Yeah, it was a good start to the season. I'm glad to come out away, guys. I'm going to end up killing you all. Let me try and figure out what's going on.
It's very bad feedback.
Well, that was a nice cameo from Joel there.
What were we talking about? Seri and Slater. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Carry on.
Slater's good, isn't he, as well? But yeah, I think that combination, maybe neither of them are exactly number sort of 6. Is that a defensive midfielder or number 6? But together they can both do enough defending, because Slater and Seri have played there, but they are more, because you can have like a Tom Huddleston defensive midfielder who's there deeper because he's got the passing forward in a range to get forward, or Smallwood where it's more defensive. But I think them combined behind a Tufan or maybe another number 10 who is more attack-minded, I think that'll be the perfect sort of duo.
Technically not a new signing because we had him on loan last season, but Aliar obviously coming back on a permanent, which is very good because he's a very exciting
playing wing
player.
back.
Yeah, playing wing back out of position. Can I just say he was my man of the match before we... Seri was very good and deservedly. But
I
for me,
but he was very good.
Especially in the first half, he was probably our only attacking player that genuinely looked as though he was a thorn in Bristol's side. And the fact that he's technically, I don't know, is he a natural striker or is he a winger? He's played in so many different positions, but technically he's an attacker, and we played him in wing back, and his willingness to run back, track back, defend, tackle, he really did where, like, he'd left nothing on that field. And I was really, really impressed with him, and his versatility is going to become very, very important this season, I think, because I said at the beginning of the game, we're going to miss not having a left footer on that side to whip a cross in. But he proved me wrong, because even cutting in on his right, he was just forever dangerous. And that little cross that he did for Estepinian that he just missed on, that we need to see more of that in product, I think. Mm-hmm. But I did like his performance levels. I think he's going to be a very exciting player. I think I'd probably like to obviously see him up top alongside maybe a Tete or an Estepinian, but if he can play like that in that position, then throw him anywhere on the pitch. And I
It's
think
good to know we've suddenly got a backup in the sort of wing back role.
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
it.
We've got
Fleming and
Elder.
Elder, haven't we?
I mean, of course, we shouldn't ever play Elder allegedly because of the horrible things he's allegedly done. But I think Aliyah will be a great player if he can just add a bit of end product. Because there was one
he's playing wing back.
Yeah, but there were a few times, or there was one major time where he was through and with his left foot just hit the side netting with a cross, which wasn't very good. But he's a great player. He's got all the attributes. But I'm sure it will come eventually because he gets into so many, good positions, and he has so much energy that will create his own chances by just getting the ball and pressing as well.
So who else made a debut this game? So Estepinian, I thought he looked the most unfit of the ones we had. He played well, don't get me wrong. I think he definitely tried, but there's definitely another 25% that he's got left. You can tell. I think he's a little bit behind the game, wasn't he? But you can see the kind of striker he wants to be in trying to get him behind, and he looks very physical and willing to sort of prance on a half chance and create something from it. What was your thoughts on his performance, Nathaniel?
Well, I always get scared when a new striker doesn't immediately score because, last season our strikers were completely woeful. And, we brought in these two players, Tete and Estepinian. Tete looked better, but we'll get onto him in a second. Yeah, he probably isn't fully fit, and we didn't really get enough crosses into him. That the most dangerous he looked really was that Aliyah cross you mentioned, and maybe if he's just a bit fitter, he can get quicker onto that and score. And then the other chance, a good running behind, maybe probably should have taken a touch and then just hit the keeper with the shot. So there were a few promising moments. His hold-up play looked fairly decent, but he will need a bit of time. But, he's got a great record, and he's obviously, come from Portugal, got 25 goals last 2 seasons. He will come good, but, I'm really hoping he gets his first goal very soon, hopefully this Saturday, because, we need our strikers to score. But, he was okay. He was promising, but he'll need to do better.
Do you agree, Will, or did you see something that we didn't?
No, I would go almost that. I think he should have buried his chance he had in the first half, to be fair. He took an extra touch whenever he needed to.
Yeah.
The one-on-one.
You let the keeper get towards him too close to him, I think.
You let the keeper get towards him and make an easy save for him in the end.
That'll come with confidence, though, won't it? Because he'll just hit it first time if he's already scored a goal.
Mentioning keepers, though, it was nice. Ingram made a couple of decent saves, especially in the first half.
Yeah. Ingram was.
I disagree with that. I don't think he saved us that game, but.
Well, he's a goalkeeper, but he did make that amazing save in the first 5 minutes. That's a fantastic stop. It'll take a while for us to see another better save than that.
From the header.
Really, I didn't think he'd get to it, and he got really low down, and then there was a good punch at the end, but it was only really the 2 saves. But yeah, he did well, and it's really good that you can have. I think we think Baxter's better, but the second choice goalkeeper still made important saves. And then Lo Tutala from Tottenham potentially. Yeah. I think that's just a backup academy thing because he's hardly played. But yeah, Ingram did well. 7 out of 10.
Ingram did really well, to be fair.
Everyone did well, to be fair.
Yeah, they did. I thought it was a really complete team performance. I think someone who probably gets quite a lot of flack, and somebody who admittedly last season I didn't think would be able to do the wing-back position in Louis Coyle, I thought was one of the most consistent performance throughout the game. I thought Louis Coyle did very well. I think if he has an extra couple of yards of pace about him, he'd be obviously much more of a threat. But the fact that the way he is in terms of pace, he does so well getting up and down.
Some of his dribbles were really impressive.
Yeah, his really crossing. The delivery of his cross is fantastic as well. I think somebody like Tete is really going to benefit from having somebody like Louis Coyle putting the ball in front. As we saw, obviously, for the penalty, I still think he should have volleyed it, but it'd look cooler. But then, we don't have the penalty jubilation, do we? In the whole Bristol City fans complaining about the one decision.
Just ended up killing Uzzle in the south stand if he just volleyed it.
Yeah, he would have lost.
True. Yeah, midway through one of his south stand solos. So I think the only other new signing was it Figueiredo. Obviously,
there's Tete as well.
I absolutely love this guy. I just feel like he is going to be one of these old school, no nonsense, shithouse defenders that is going to absolutely annoy attackers. For me, he's another one who's going to put 110% on the pitch every time he plays. And I just think he's going to complement Greaves and Jones in such a way that they're more sort of composed, silky ball playing defenders. And then you've got this bit of a mean machine monster in the middle that is not going to think twice about headbutting somebody if he has the chance, kind of defender. I absolutely love him. Well, obviously, don't get a red card, but I mean, it's fun to see it. What was your thoughts on Figueiredo, Will?
Oh, he's ace. He's great. Love him. There's not much more I can say than that. He obviously gives it all because I love how he was knackered and dead, but still made that run forward at the end and became main striker.
Oh, that was hilarious. I mean, Figueiredo's striker, and I was begging Doherty to pass it to him because although he probably couldn't run, he was in such a good position at the end. But yeah, I think Forest fans said this, he's better playing in the middle of the back three because perhaps not got the mobility.
He's him as the middle, Greaves on the left and Jones on the right.
Yeah,
really.
I think that's perfect because as you said, they especially Greaves gets forward sometimes, joins the attack. And they're the ones who can play the ball out. And there's one great bit where Jones kind of dribbled around someone to get on the attack. And I think having a no-nonsense defender in the middle and then the two younger, fitter or more athletic ball-playing centre-halves is going to be a real good trio.
I think Greaves had his typical fantastic game as well.
Yeah.
Some of the sliding tackles.
Especially in the second half.
He amazing.
Just was a wall.
Yeah, he throws his body on the line literally, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think some of the blocks he makes, his willingness to commit to defending his goal is the perfect complement to the more attractive style of his game, where he's going to make basically a left wingers run up the side every time. He's got like that perfect balance, and this is why I think we might as well mention it while we're here. Obviously,
give him the money he wants.
Reported interest from Middlesbrough. I think a very derogatory £5 million offer is never going to get Jacob Greaves to leave Hull.
Pitiful. They could get Jones for that, perhaps. But not Greaves.
Why are the club giving him the contract he wants? Give him the contract he wants. Fucking hell.
I know, because it's going to cost, 15-20 million soon, isn't it? Like Lewis Potter. So you want to make sure he's at the club or at the club for another year so you can sell him, perhaps. Just give him exactly what he wants. Yeah. There's no reason why he doesn't deserve it, but a new signing does.
So I think the only other debutant came off the bench was Vaughan Colville. Admittedly, don't know much about him. Oh, Big Tete, yeah. Oh, yeah, Big Tete. How can we forget Big Tete?
How can you forget Big Tete?
How can I forget Big Tete?
He's so big, he takes up more space in your memory.
It's my gaffer championship fantasy football team is get your Tetes out. So I think he's obviously the kind of striker that we're going to throw on as a plan B. I think he's obviously the big unit hold-up player. I don't think we've signed him to score many goals, but we've signed him to change a game. Obviously, if we decide to go a bit more direct, which I think we started to do towards the end of the Bristol game, there was a lot less of the side across the back three and more sort of getting it up in the areas where we can be dangerous. And obviously, when Coyle flips that ball in and he chests it down and you're thinking, right, he scored here, but then the challenge comes in and do it right. So before obviously, was that a penalty?
Yes.
In your opinion? Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny.
Does the fact that the initial contact happened and then he didn't go down until a couple of seconds later change anything?
No, but it does make it look really dodgy.
It does make it look really dodgy. I will admit, when I watched the replays back on Twitter, I thought, we've got away with one there. That's a bit cheeky. But when you think about it, if somebody's going to put the studs in the side of your ankle and your body's readjusting to then shoot, and then you get a burst of pain down your leg, it's only like advantage in it to me. If someone performs a foul and the referee's going to see if the game can go on, but then obviously can't, it's a foul, it's a penalty. But
and because he's so big and falls like a big tree,
yeah,
it doesn't look right.
It was quite a comical fall.
It didn't look like a penalty at the time, but he definitely gets caught. He gets stood on his ankle or on his foot, and he's about to shoot. It's 100% Stonewall penalty, and the fact that all the media seem to be saying it's a ridiculous dive. I mean, it's just wrong. it's inaccurate.
Yeah, it's the focusing out on the time duration it is from initial contact to him going down, which
there's a photo of him standing on his ankle, so of course it's a foul.
There is video and photographic evidence that the contact was there. It's just that they're focusing on that 1.7 second interval between him and that contact and him hitting the floor, which is bizarre. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think the ref helped himself by having such a poor first half for Rose.
Yeah.
And then having such a poor second half for Bristol. He'd been rubbish all second half. He kind of at half time had decided, oh, I need to even this up.
Yeah.
Because in the first half, it was shocking for us. And then in the second half, I thought he completely changed tack and was the opposite.
It's worth noting actually that referee's been
demoted.
He is refereeing.
That's not exactly true because he rotates between the three leagues apparently.
Don't ruin it.
It's not. Yeah, I know, but
he was poor. He deserves it. He's refereeing at Fleetwood.
That's a foul. See, for audio listeners, I'm lifting up the photo of Tete being absolutely disgustingly assaulted by Cal Naismith.
Surprised he's not in the hospital. Do we start Tete against Preston, or were you happy enough with Tyler Smith?
Nah, because he's a super sub, isn't he? And he won't be fit enough. If we don't think Estepinion's fit enough, with him playing about 3 or 4 times as many minutes in pre-season as Tete won't be able to do the whole 90 minutes, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, we'll get on to the Preston game anyway.
It's only the second game, so you want to give him a chance at least to get a bit of run in the side.
Yeah, true. So obviously Vaughan Colville came on from the bench. Does anyone actually know where this lad plays? Is he a striker?
I
know he came on.
Absolutely no idea. I think he's a midfielder.
I know nothing of him at all. I have asked
he's
about him.
He's a winger. Is Colville?
Right. Okay.
So we just sort of stuck him on top. I mean, from his videos in training, he looks quite a tidy player. He looks quite skillful. But when I asked Gabe Sutton about him, he was quite surprised that he managed to get a move to a championship because he didn't really pull up any trees at pardon the pun, Forest Green. Is it Forest Green he came from?
Yeah.
That was totally unintentional, by the way. It was totally unintentional.
Flying sod.
But we've clearly seen something in him that they haven't, and if he's going to be sort of a squad filler player and make the kind of, because I thought he looked quite tidy when he came on. He did throw himself about and looked quite dangerous. But
did he touch the ball?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he had a few nice touches.
Right. Cool.
But going back to the question, obviously, does he fall out of the 11 if Malik Wilkes is back?
For me, no. Because I think we should be looking at getting rid of Wilkes.
I think you'd have to play Wilkes. Wilkes is,
would you not give Wilkes a go in this new system, new manager?
Yeah, I'd give Wilkes a go. But can we not talk about Wilkes? We did that last season.
But this is a different. We're talking about Wilkes in a different light. He's not played, so we can't criticize him.
Fine.
We're talking about whether or not he's included in this team.
Give him a chance. Give him another chance.
I say let him go.
If we can get the money for him, and we can get someone who's better or Turkish or something, then I'd like that. But Wilkes is good. Yeah, maybe he can be. So maybe if I'll put him in the shop window at least, perhaps. Maybe only off the bench because we've got the 5 substitutes. We can might as well use that.
I'd like to give him maybe play him in the cup game.
To be honest, Randall Williams is back fit as well. I'd rather have him over both of them.
I would personally have him higher in the squad too.
Yeah, I think
I like Randall Williams.
He'll be playing more than Wilkes this season, and especially because we're playing wing backs. I think wing back could be a really good option to play him there, especially if Emmanuel isn't playing. Possibly, and if Fleming's injured for a bit.
We still don't know anything about Emmanuel, do we? We've had no form of confirmation of whether or not he's going to be even playing this season. I imagine he's going to.
He must be, because they would not have renewed his contract if they didn't know that he was, coming back, surely.
There was pictures of him on an exercise bike. Was it towards the end of last season or something?
There's pictures of him training. There's pictures of him training as well.
Yeah. I wonder. It's an odd one. Obviously,
maybe it'll just be a month or something, and he'll be back in the squad, which would be great. Hopefully, but we just don't know yet.
Because I think that wing back role is perfect for Emmanuel. It's quite a shame that obviously what happened last season. Because I think last season we could have really done with Emmanuel in that role.
Yeah.
Especially when
did
Longman
okay,
started churning out the dire performances he decided to do once signed permanently. Speaking of Longman, we're probably going to use him as a striker.
He's not even playing, and you still bring him up in an episode and the fan wasn't the one who brought him up.
We've got to.
No, you haven't.
Well, he's probably back training on Monday, apparently, according to Shotter, so he'll be back after Preston.
He's obsessed.
Yeah, well, I'm obsessed, but you shouldn't be, Ant. Yeah, I expect better from you.
Tete and Oscar up top for the showers.
Yeah.
So you see, that's that little and large partnership, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Well, it's large and larger.
You mean large and larger?
No, Estepinion's quite in behind striker.
He's only that 6 foot, yeah.
Yeah, I know he's 6 foot. He's only a couple of inches taller than me.
We need to play Smith and Tete up front because that would just be a fantastic photo. It won't work.
Together.
Well, yeah. We'll get Smith on Tete's shoulders for a set piece.
I think it wouldn't be
Tete on Smith's shoulders.
Yes, that would work. Yes, I want to see that.
I don't think it'd be a correct Bristol City and Hull City review if we didn't talk about Nigel Pearson. Obviously,
being a boring whinging cunt.
Yeah. Obviously, not really changed much since he was our gaffer. Still hits the press. I think he's probably turned down from. Was it Leicester he was at when he made the "Are you an ostrich" comment?
Yeah, that was at Leicester before he got sacked, and they became a Premier League champions team.
It was very much like the League One season when, like, it started with Evans at Gillingham. From the first game, they were just salty that City had beaten them. And what was he talking about? That they dominated the game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. The
fewer corners, fewer shots, fewer XG, and
once they went
fewer
ahead,
possession.
They turned into a Pearson team and just defended.
Yeah.
I thought Bristol had a clear game plan. They came and they were going to sit deep and they were going to wait for us to try and play ourselves into danger. Then they'd play a long ball in behind to get Whiteman on the end of it and try and get him behind. And to be fair, for the most of the first half, that worked. As soon as they went 1-0 up, though, they changed and they stopped doing that. And they kind of just wanted to defend that 1-0 lead. And we grew more into the game as the first half went on. Obviously, had a couple of half chances from the corner. I don't know how none of them chances ended up in the back of the net. And then obviously the second half, we came out the far stronger team. And I just think watching it, stats, anything, Bristol City did not dominate us in any way, shape or form. So I don't know where he's got that from. Obviously, very, very annoyed by the penalty decision and deciding to try and make more of it than he can, I think. But I just looking at Bristol City then, and obviously Pearson style, the players that they've got. Where do we think they're going to end up in the league?
That's 16th again.
Pearson, and he's the most boring person managing in the league. I'm going to say 12 because it's the most boring position you can finish.
Oh, I thought it was in 11th. That's not much better.
Yeah,
that's better. 11th is better than the most boring position in the league.
12th, yeah. Well, that's where I predicted us as well, 11th, because it's boring, but it's not the most boring. I think 13th's the most boring, though, in a way.
If we go back, I think I said we finished 12th, to be quite honest.
Yeah. After that game, though, I'm thinking we might just be a little bit higher.
Third?
Yeah, probably third.
But then when we lose 2-0 to Preston, are you going to change your prediction again, Nathaniel?
No, because the players aren't fit. They're still gelling, and
Okay. So coming on to Preston, then obviously a nice memory from last season, a 4-1 win to start the season before it went horribly wrong for quite a while. They look less of a threat this season. Obviously, no Cameron Archer. I think overall the strength of their squad hasn't been. They haven't strengthened, in my opinion. I don't think they're a stronger side than they were last season. Obviously, they beat us the last time we played each other at the MKM, 1-0, Cameron Archer goal. But we were very poor at home last season. Hopefully, that's turned a new leaf this year. But personally, I'm still quite optimistic about this game. What's your thoughts on it, Will?
I think it'll be harder than it was last year, to be honest. But saying that, last year it was quite easy in the end. I don't know. Preston are one of these teams where I've not really paid much attention to their transfer dealings. I know they've lost Cameron Archer, so they've lost a big one, but
Sepp van den Berg, who's probably their best defender as well, has gone back. He was on loan.
Yeah, it feels like they'll just be one of those sides, probably mid-table, who have a good run at one point, and hopefully it's later in the season, but I think they're one of those just hard to predict. One of those mid-table teams that you've no clue what they're actually going to turn up and be like.
I did the Bristol, the Preston preview yesterday, was it? And they, looking at the players they've signed, including my rival Benjamin Woodburn, who I don't want us to sign ever, because we keep getting linked with him. They haven't really improved the team. I think Brady's quite a good addition, but he won't play much. And then they lost Vandenberg and Archer, so they're probably weaker, I think. And they didn't. They seem to play better than the result suggested against Wigan, but I think it's another decent chance, and hopefully we can get at least a point on the board, because it is tougher going into Norwich and West Brom and things soon. But I think we've got a decent enough chance if we play like we did second half. And, a whole other week, this is the game week that the season should have started, because the pre-season was a bit early. So hopefully we'll look a whole lot better, and we'll have a few more players off the bench as well, which will help.
I think there's only really a couple of players of note, I think, in the Preston side, really. There's obviously Emil Rees-Jacobson was very good from last season, so will be a threat. I watched a preview last night with Nathaniel, and I think it was Deepdale Digest was suggesting that maybe he's got a bit more of his game that he needs to work on, so he's not the complete article yet, and hopefully we get him on one of those games where he's lacking in some areas. Ben Whiteman, very good player, sort of runs the game from midfield, sits in that sort of destroyer role in front of the back four. So he's going to be someone who's going to be keeping his eye, obviously, on Seri and Tufan, trying to keep them quiet and limit the chances. So, he's another one. And Daniel Johnson always got a goal in him from range. So, that closing down, that high line that we play is going to hopefully play a part that, he's going to have his chances restricted. But other than that, like we say, I think it's a rather, standard championship side. I would definitely take a point against Preston. Yeah. 4 points on the board from the first two games, going into the run of fixtures that we have that are going to be very tough. I think is very important. I think I said to Gabe on the preview that it's important we start well. Even if the performance is there, I'd be okay. If we lost by, say, a goal or something, but we were either the better side or deserved something, it gives you that confidence to go into the run of fixtures we've got, that, we're a side that can mix it and we'll do something, because this will be a tough run. And hopefully we come out of it with our heads high kind of thing, and in a good position with some form of pedestal to build on going into the winter months, where it really starts to then crunch down and you get a feeling of what the league's going to look like. And I mean, team wise then, are we making much changes? Do we keep the same 11?
Nope.
Don't change your winning 11?
I'd keep the same 11.
Yeah, and we don't really have... I think that a lot of the players that are coming back from injury aren't necessarily ones that we were desperate for anyway. It's going to be in another few weeks. Likely. Yeah, but Aliar played so well at wing back. I mean, maybe you'd play Williams at wing back and Aliar up front. I would too, because Smith didn't do too badly. He had that one shot from edge of the box, which was a terrible decision, but he didn't really get a chance to score. I mean. So maybe he would this season. Got to give him another chance, and the team won, and you can change it off the bench again, and then I think really once in a few more weeks with the transfer window done, and maybe a cup game or two, hopefully if we win on Tuesday, then we'll start to think about switching it around and getting our best 11. But for the moment, we haven't got many options, so stick with it. Winning team.
I mean, like we say, I think the only concern I'd have is whether or not Aliar can perform to the similar standard that he set at that game away at Preston, where it's going to be a bit more physical. I think I'm going to be under the cosh a bit more, because obviously he's going to lack a bit more of that defensive intelligence. Maybe get caught out of position kind of thing, because that long ball, like I said, from Bristol that was going over to the right hand side was usually because Aliar was further up the pitch, and I don't know. Maybe we'll sit a bit deeper in this game with it being away. But I mean, I wouldn't also be mad that we'd play the same 11. Like we say, you don't really change your winning team, and he played really well there. So we can't just go on the basis that he might not play well in the next game. I suppose it wouldn't be very
And
good.
last season, our away form was so brilliant. I think it ended because we got a bit unlucky against Millwall with that strange deflected goal, and then Bristol were on the beach. So hopefully our away form second half of the season continues, and I think it's possible the new players have changed up the team a bit, so that won't be the case. But hopefully it just improves, and I think it'll be another close game. But really, I think the most important thing is another good performance. Keep progressing, and hopefully one of the strikers scores a goal and gets that confidence going into what you say is going to be a tough run.
Score predictions then, Will.
Well, I'm now currently 100% on the score predictions, saying 2-1. Right. So it's time to ruin that by saying 1-1.
1-1. I'll take that. Nathaniel?
Yeah, I said it on the preview yesterday, and another boring one, agreeing with Will. I think 1-1. I don't know if we got a little lucky with the goals, but I think we'll score a good goal, but still need to work on, the team gelling a bit. So, an away point, that would be good. But I think, 1-1.
I'm going for an entertaining 2-2 draw, and Jacob Greaves will score one of them.
He won't. No, he's going to save it to an important
You're
game.
after my own heart, Ant.
This is his time. He's going to have this something
Technically,
in
his
the air.
highest time, and it was against Malaga.
Yeah, in a pre-season friendly. That'd be the only goal he ever scores in Hull City colours. And it's not an official one. That'd be gutting, wouldn't it?
Well, speaking of Greaves scoring, shall we mention it quickly? What did we think of the set pieces on Saturday? Because that's one thing that needs to improve attacking-wise. Because Seri had five.
I can't disagree with the way our defenders moved in the box because Seri's ball never got to them.
Yeah,
well, I think
I was disappointed with the quality of delivery from Seri's corners on the most part. I feel like City have had this curse, barring that League One season, where whoever takes our corners, no matter how good a set piece specialist they are, they cannot beat the first man. I don't know what it is.
Snodgrass did okay, I think, for us whipping them in, but since then, I feel like we haven't really had set piece specialists except that League One season, because I don't really think Bowen taking them was very good, and Grzycki. I'm not overly sure about.
To be fair, Bowen and Grzycki's got a few free kicks.
Yeah, but the delivery wasn't quite as good. But I think we looked.
If the delivery equals a goal, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's a different sort of thing, isn't it? So I think we looked more dangerous than last season, but when the ball got closer to the players, but the delivery from Seri needs to work a little bit.
I personally think that Greaves is going to benefit from having Figs in the team, and I'll explain why. I think Figueiredo is going to attract some of the more aerial threats from the opposition to mark him. Because
Oscar should as well, considering his previous in Portugal.
Yeah, I think players will have identified Greaves last season as somebody who's could potentially get into a goal scoring opportunity from a set piece and marked him. Whereas this season with Figueiredo in the mix, it's going to be like, all right, the focus on him, and maybe Greaves picks up an extra pocket or two. I'm expecting Figs to get 3 or 4. He looks fairly decent in the air. If we can get that delivery right, 3 centre halves, you should be scoring quite a few set pieces throughout the season, shouldn't you? I think that's definitely one thing we had to work on from last season is getting.
Estepinian will get some. That looks like his bread and butter, scoring headers. Jones
got his first towards the end of last season, so hopefully that's him sort of off the ball and going and set piece. I think because if we can add some obviously set piece goals to our game, that could be the difference between challenging the top 6 or just sort of obscuring in the middle of the table. And especially last season, we probably would have been safe a lot sooner if we could score set pieces. I mean, I think we only had 1 penalty last season, didn't we? And McGuinness skied it.
I thought Tufan was going to miss. I didn't have any confidence really.
Honestly,
not because he's bad, just because we've not scored one in so long.
Because of the people that were sat behind me, I prayed that Tufan scored that goal, because if he didn't score, they would have.
Same. because especially on Twitter and stuff, he looked really good, and
He needed that.
he's got the
I liked
technique, hasn't he? It was
It's
really
been a
well taken, the
while.
penalty.
It's been a while since I've been that scared at a Hull City game as I was waiting for that penalty.
I know. I mean, I think the relief of the cheer when it went in was
brilliant.
Was huge.
But you don't want to be too antisocial when you're celebrating it, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to calm down, guys, because apparently there was some misbehaving people.
There wasn't.
I mean, can I go on? I mean,
M4 did go mental, but it wasn't. There wasn't anyone kicking shit out of another person. In fact, Bristol City fans were fine outside of that smoke bomb.
Yeah,
Bristol City fans were fine.
I genuinely think that's the only incident you can refer to that was. Yeah, I mean, I had my 4-year-old daughter with me, and I was fairly happy with what happened in the North Stand. So, do you know what I mean? If it was really that antisocial, you wouldn't be even considered.
I mean, to be fair, you were in M4. You wouldn't have been happy in M4 with.
No, I was in M1. I was practically in the West Stand.
It may have been utter chaos and pandemonium when Seri's ball looped in.
I was almost in the West Stand. I could smell the prawn sandwiches.
There was nothing you could class as antisocial at all. It was just anything that got close to it was just a typical banter between home and away fans that you have at every game.
Yeah.
Bristol City fans were great. I think because we created a good atmosphere, they in turn created one as well, and I think them scoring first probably helped that. To be fair.
Do we think then the moving of the fans back into the North Stand is a good idea? Because I
personally, yes, because of where I sit. I can understand why people aren't happy because it was done without really any consultation, to be fair. And I think you won't be able to give it a full idea of the test of it until someone comes and fills that away end. So say when we play Sheffield United, there's a good test of what it'll be like.
Because to me, it just makes sense because to improve the atmosphere at a stadium, especially one like ours, where it was only really the East Stand that generated any form of atmosphere, you've now got 2 stands that generate atmosphere. The East Stand are also going to be joining in out these, so you're going to have 2 stands sort of bantering the away fans, and atmosphere-wise, noise-wise, it's going to be a lot better. I mean, I enjoyed my years in the North Stand when they first did it. I know the reasons behind it were quite poor and flawed, but now you sort of see the benefits of having fans behind the goal. And
the thing is, how often do you see? It's very rare to have a stadium where behind a goal is all away fans.
Yeah,
it's very rare.
They tuck them in the corner, don't they? Yeah.
Normally, most places took them in the corner or on an upper tier.
Give them the West Stand upper.
No. That's a stupid idea.
Hopefully at some point we can get...
But that is actually a really stupid idea when you think about it logistically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah, or the West Stand lower would have to wait. Or they'd have to empty the home fans first, so that would be funny. Yeah, do that. You annoy the away fans. They have to wait until all the home have left before they can come out.
All I can imagine, though, is if it's like that Adjun just standing in his box, just giving it the big one up at the West upper.
Yeah. He'd love it. I don't think there's anything else left to cover for the Preston game then. I think the Bradford game, maybe we can give a quick mention. We're probably unlikely to have done anything before that game.
It'd be nice to have a cup run, and I think it'll be great for fitness, but if we win, it'll be even better because then that's another game that we can use for fitness to help the team, because I think really, especially more than any other season, we really need more minutes into the new players.
So would you play like the usual starters, or we go for a rotation 11?
Mix.
Yeah. Well, it has to be mixed because you need to... we haven't really got many... we haven't got a whole 11
injuries.
Exactly. So it'll be mixed, but yeah, I think it'll be fairly strong because usually I feel like in previous seasons they do sort of keep it strong, especially early because you want that fitness. So and yeah, it'd be good to have a cup run, I think.
It's been a while since we've been to Bradford as well. It's been a while. It was a nice town when we last went.
It was very good.
It was a lovely day. I don't know if Nathaniel was even born.
Wow. Well, I was born 2002. When was the last time we were in Bradford?
Yeah, he was.
2004. He was alive.
Oh, right. I was 2 years old. Wow.
Yeah,
Blimey.
that's in my top 5 away days. Was like we filled 2 stands, didn't we?
Yeah, there was more.
I-
There almost more City fans than Bradford fans there. It felt
Yeah.
like it anyway.
Yeah.
And
Should we predict that?
Bambi and Elliot scoring, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember the second
that.
goal going in, and that essentially
in the Man City kit, essentially.
Yeah.
I love
That
that
pretty
shit.
much sealed promotion that season, didn't it? That win, because Bradford were
That
in the
was the
playoffs,
game.
weren't they?
That was the game that did it.
Yeah, and I just remember that all the City fans singing "We're just too good for you," and Bradford fans leaving in anger. It's quite funny. Yeah, I'm gutted because I intended to go to that because it's on a Tuesday. I'm at work. I can't go.
I'm off, but you got it on telly.
Yeah, I can be tell you what I can watch
You bloody
it.
armchair fans.
Surrounded by Leeds fans. I don't know who they'd prefer to win.
Probably us, to be honest, because we're not their rivals.
Allegedly. Yeah.
As they tell
I think
us.
we'll win that. Yeah. I hope we win anyway.
2-0, City.
Yeah, probably.
Full
Tete and Cannon, to score.
Cannon. I forgot he existed. Right, I think football-wise, we've covered pretty much everything. I think there's only a couple
It's
of
come
things left.
home.
Oh,
Yes.
it did come home. Anybody who watched, obviously the Women's World Cup, it finally
You mean the Women's Euros? For God's sake, man, get it right.
Euros. I don't know. It's
And
because I was talking
mansplaining
about the
what
World
one
Cup
it
earlier.
was.
Yeah.
I think we underestimate how big a win that is in general for obviously the women's football in general. Do we expect like an increase in attendance in women's Super League games? Do we think? Is that
I hope
perked
so.
up a bit?
Well, I would say this. I know everyone's clamouring for obviously going to the Super League. There isn't many women's Super League teams. Go to your local women's team, whoever it is. I'd love it if loads of people went to the Hull City Ladies. Hull City Ladies need to be partnered back with the club
Right.
as soon as possible.
The Hull City Ladies at the moment, I'm pretty sure they're across the bridge, I believe. It's really tough for them to find a ground
to play bad.
So I believe that there are certain places that are trying to encourage the rejoining of obviously were they ever actually together in the first place? Or were they always a separate entity? I think they were always separate, weren't they?
I'm not sure. I couldn't comment on that. There might have been, there might not have been. I don't think there were.
Yeah, they need to be linked up.
Yeah, all professional clubs should be looking at encouraging more to obviously, I don't know, maybe doing offers if they have got a partnered official women's club or something like that they can offer tickets to. Encourage more people to come down, sort of push it a bit more like they do in the men's game, because I think in general you don't really see much about it. Thanks to this Euros, I think we'll probably see quite a lift in women's sport in general. I
watched women's football, not massive amounts, but I already watched it and I already liked it. So I knew it was nice seeing some vindication for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be capitalised on soon. They'll be playing the USA in October. As long as they qualify for the World Cup, which they will. They're meant to be playing, but that was another thing. At Wembley, 87,163, I want to say it was. It's the highest attendance for a men's or a women's Euros game.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
I found his mind. I couldn't believe when I heard that.
Well, I suppose it's just that it's because of the stadium, isn't it? It's such a big stadium, and it wasn't full for the men's because of COVID. It was 60,000, wasn't it? So
I can't remember exactly, but when you look at clubs, you look at the nations and stadiums that have hosted the Euros before. Like obviously, it's been on in. Yeah, it was on in Spain. It's been at the Bernabeu. It's been at the Olimpico in Rome. It's been at It's been on at the. I think it's been on at. Oh no, it wasn't in Berlin's Olympic Stadium. It was in Munich's. But it's been at some massive stadiums in the past, and the fact that the previous attendance was, I think, 79,000 record attendance in the Euros. So he's smashed it.
Yeah, which is like we say, it's amazing to see. I think the hype from radio stations, from people on the street, There was something different about this Euros
I'm
from the
actually
beginning, to be fair.
slightly annoyed I couldn't get the England share because it's only in women's and kids' fit, which is fair enough because that is the main audience.
Yeah. Just to answer that previous question, by the way, there is a Hull City ladies. They're just not affiliate of Hull City AFC. It is, they're basically their own club, and they play in Barton. Was it Will? Across the bridge. So I think there's a big inclinations in trying to merge the two. Hopefully, the two clubs can come to some form of agreement where they can sort of integrate themselves as part of Hull City AFC, if it's possible. Because obviously, it'd be silly not to take advantage of the huge increase in attention towards the women's game after the Euros, and hopefully something like that can then sort of push further attendance, hopefully increase the money in the women's game too, a bit more investment, and having an official Hull City ladies team. I mean, would you go watch them, Will, if you had the chance, if the City were away?
Definitely. Barton's only across the river. I mean, it was nice if they were on this side of the river, to be honest. But I mean, I'd absolutely go a few times if I could. I mean, it's cheap to go to watch the women's game as well. I hope a lot more people do go, to be fair, now. I really do.
I mean, I think hopefully we don't just get a flash in the pan few attendances where it's like, oh, the Women's Super League's going kind of thing, and then it dies off.
Well, I don't think we will. I think because there's going to be a lot. At the moment, obviously, it's behind the men's game because the professionalisation isn't there like it is in the men's game, but I think it's going to become more professionalised over time. Obviously, all the main English clubs are professional, and most of those players play professional too. But it shows how quickly it's changed because when we last played in the Euros final in 2009, I think it was, when we got smashed by Germany 6-2, it was a semi-professional side. The England side wasn't even professional. And then 13 years later, they're winning the Euros.
I actually didn't know the answer to this question, so I've just had a look for you.
They're in the Women's National League.
They're in the Women's National League Northern Premier Division.
What does that mean?
The third level of the pyramid, so essentially League One standard, I think.
It's the equivalent of because it's the equivalent of the old Division 3 North and South.
Yeah,
which used to have before the Premier League, or well before the Premier League. It's essentially the third division split in. So the top flight's obviously the Super League, but that's mainly because it's all professional teams. It's rare that you get much difference. And then there's the National League underneath that. Then there's the National League North and South.
About moving training facilities to the ground. I saw something about that on Twitter. I don't know if it's official. Have you seen anything on it, Will, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Well, they've mentioned it.
It was posted in our group chat at one point. I think before the preview we were going to do about. I can't remember what the wording was. It was to do with in contact with the council about moving the training ground from Cottingham and moving all the academy into. Well, they want to try and get them right next to the stadium, I think.
Which would make sense.
Trying to find the article now. It's great live podcasting this.
They have definitely mentioned it, but that'll have to take time, surely. They won't just be able to do that. Maybe it'll be next summer or something, but these things always...
Well, it requires getting permission. What they want to do will require getting... Right, I found it. They want to have sort of a freehold on the KC, or the MKM, sorry. At first, which means essentially, fully enough, where it all began with the Allams owning the KC. It isn't like an official owning. It's like you pretty much control it, but you don't actually own the land. But they want to start with that, and they kind of want to build. I don't want to compare it. They want to try and build what Man City have got. Essentially, they want to try and build like a footballing sort of village type thing near the stadium, where you could have like the academy is, where the training ground is, and all that sort of thing, all built all together, like near the ground. I think Adrian doesn't like that the training ground is well outside of the city. I don't think he likes it. It's that fact it's all over in Cottingham. And to be honest, it's kind of an outdated training ground now as well. There's not much to it at all.
It's just pitches, isn't it?
It's a couple of
That's nothing.
boxes and pitches, and a couple of pitches, and there's not much to it. And it feels like we keep getting. We seem to get loads of injuries in training, and I feel like that happens more and more frequently now. And I have a feeling it's partly due to the training ground.
Possibly, yeah.
It could be. Gabe, if you're on about the away shirt that I'm wearing, it's all on the link tree, mate. It's the S66 merchandise website.
He's obviously on about the Hull City shirt. Stop being so arrogant.
Yeah.
The black kit, the City one, I'm hoping that they're going to wait until they've got a substantial amount of stock before they officially release it.
I've already said they've ordered 4 times the amount of stock they ordered for last season.
Because you're going to have the people that didn't get one last season that want one this season. And then obviously there's the updated version with the Corridor Airlines on as well. So they've got to... It's going to be an in-demand kit. I mean, personally, I want the away one first. I have got the black
I
one.
do as well. I also want the white away one first.
Yeah, I've got the black one from last season, but I just don't know where it is. I need to scour the house and find it. But yeah, I'm quite happy that we've kept it on as a third kit.
I got mine.
I thought it was two.
Is it still Longman 16 on the back?
No. Well, when I got
Elder
this,
3.
I didn't know about Elder being Longman being amazing. I probably won't get it this season either. You know, I'm not 5 anymore.
Fair play.
So you're 6 now.
Yeah.
So I think football-wise, that's pretty much us covered. Unless anybody else has got any other questions before we finish.
Just one family, one dream, up the Tigers.
Yes. A couple of things that I'm going to encourage anyone that's listening to maybe get a part of. A good friend of mine, Rich Anderson, is doing a sponsored bike ride from Hull to Hornsey, which I believe is, I don't know if it's there and back, I think it's only there, 26 miles, so it will just be there, won't it? In raising money for Andy's Man Club, which obviously is the partner charity of this podcast, which we raise money for through the shirts. The information to donate is on our social media. He's kind of doing it himself, so you need to get in touch with him to do so. You can't give us money to do it. But he's only just basically opened up his donations in the last couple of days, and we're already at £314 raised. So if anyone feels like they want to donate to that, obviously Andy's Man Club, if you don't know, is a men's mental health charity. They offer support groups where you can go and sit down on a Monday night. If you feel like you maybe had an overwhelming week, you can go in and just basically let off some steam. Get that conversation that maybe you'd so desperately needed, but can't feel like you can't do at home, which can be quite tough, obviously, as men. Obviously, they're there to break that stigma and let you know that there is people that care. So do go talk. And like we say, Rich is raising money for them. So go head over to our social media, have a check it out and donate if you can. And obviously the Amber Circle group on Facebook, a bit more of a friendly way to actually chat about City on Facebook. As we all know, the other groups maybe aren't.
A fans forum that isn't shit.
Yeah. There's nearly 1,000 members in there. We post exclusively in there now. None of the other City groups will see any of our content now. We are officially part of Amber Circle. And so if you want to sort of talk to us, you want to talk and see some of our extra content that maybe you've missed on the socials, you will see it in that group. So do get that. Also is a link on the link tree. So do head over and go join that if you can. And like I said, episode again is sponsored by 6 Yards Out and Pearson's Bar. And I've been out your host, or Ozan 2 fan, apparently, because I look like him. I'm not seeing the resemblance personally, but I'll own it and I'll go with it. Will's been on, Nathaniel's been on. Nathaniel is obviously, can I just also say, I don't know if you've been watching the previews, Will, but Nathaniel is absolutely smashing it.
Why would I watch anything that's just Nathaniel?
Oh,
the preview episode.
Will.
If anyone watches the preview episode, I offered Nathaniel the chance to have this as his thing, and he took it, and I think he's absolutely smashing it. And he hosted the last episode, so I think he's doing very well, and I might be able to retire and just leave Nathaniel to do it.
Quitting already, Jesus Christ!
And obviously we had Joel on for a couple of seconds. It was nice to have Joel on. Nice round of applause for Joel. Yeah, it was. So Joel is still part of the podcast, as you saw, very briefly. So hopefully we can get him on a full episode in the future. I think we've got a couple of good guests lined up on future episodes. Like I said, do make sure you like and subscribe, because the preview episodes, for example, will not be released on audio. So if you're going to want to listen and watch them, you've got to be subscribed to see the channel and get reminders that they're coming up whenever we go live. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, boys. We will see you next time.